The drive for Myitkyina, April-August 1944, was a crucial Allied campaign in the China-Burma-India (CBI) theater during World War II. It was part of Operation End Run, a larger effort to reopen the Burma Road, a vital supply route to China that had been cut off by the Japanese invasion of Burma in 1942. Led by General Joseph Stilwell, American, Chinese and British forces, along with the specialized Merrill's Marauders, launched a determined offensive to capture Myitkyina, a strategic town in northern Burma. Myitkyina's airfield and railhead made it a critical objective, as its capture would enable the Allies to re-establish land and air supply routes to Chinese forces fighting against Japan. Despite facing harsh jungle terrain, monsoon rains and fierce Japanese resistance, the Allies ultimately secured Myitkyina after a grueling battle, paving the way for the eventual reconquest of Burma. Strategic importance of Myitkyina. Myitkyina was the key to controlling northern Burma due to several factors. Burma Road connection. The town sat near the terminus of the Burma Road, the main land supply route from India to nationalist China, led by Chiang Kai-shek. Its capture would allow critical supplies to resume flowing to Chinese forces fighting Japan. Airfield for the Hump Route. The airfield at Myitkyina was a major Japanese base, supporting their control over the Hump, the dangerous air supply route over the Himalayas. Taking Myitkyina would reduce Japanese air threats and provide a forward base for Allied aircraft. Isolating Japanese forces in Burma. Seizing Myitkyina would cut off Japanese forces in northern Burma, weakening their ability to reinforce positions further south. To achieve this objective, General Stilwell devised an ambitious multi-pronged attack that relied on speed, deception and coordination between American Special Forces, Chinese infantry and British air support. Phase 1. The advance through the jungle, April-May 1944. Before attacking Myitkyina directly, the Allies needed to advance through hundreds of miles of dense Burmese jungle, facing both enemy patrols and the unforgiving terrain. Key units involved. Merrill's Marauders, a U.S. Army Ranger-style unit, trained in jungle warfare, tasked with leading the surprise assault. Chinese X-Force, comprised of Chinese divisions trained and supplied by the U.S., under Stilwell's command. Catching guerrillas, local Burmese fighters who provided valuable intelligence and reconnaissance on Japanese movements. Jungle warfare in harsh conditions. The march toward Myitkyina was one of the most grueling treks of the war. The troops traveled over 1,000 miles through thick jungle, carrying supplies on their backs or using pack mules. Faced malaria, dysentery, and exhaustion which took a heavier toll than Japanese bullets. Had to navigate rugged mountains and rivers with limited air resupply, often running out of food and medicine. Despite these hardships, the Marauders and Chinese forces managed to outmaneuver the Japanese and close in on Myitkyina. Phase 2. The Battle for Myitkyina Airfield, May 17, 1944. On May 17, 1944, the Allies launched a surprise attack on Myitkyina's airfield, catching the Japanese garrison off guard. Key battle events. Merrill's Marauders and Chinese forces launched a sudden raid, swiftly capturing the airfield after intense fighting. Japanese reinforcements counterattacked, but U.S. engineers quickly fortified the airstrip, allowing reinforcements to land. Despite securing the airfield, the main town of Myitkyina remained heavily defended, forcing the Allies into a prolonged siege. The success of the airfield assault allowed Allied supply planes to land, bringing fresh troops and supplies for the next phase of the battle. Phase 3. The Siege of Myitkyina, May-August 1944. After capturing the airfield, the Allies expected to take Myitkyina quickly, but the Japanese defenders fought with fanatical resistance. Challenges faced by the Allies. Monsoon rains. The heavy monsoons turned the battlefield into a swampy quagmire, making movement and logistics difficult. Japanese defenses. The garrison of 3,000 Japanese troops, reinforced by additional units, had fortified bunkers, trenches and machine gun nests across the town. Troop fatigue. Many Merrill's Marauders were suffering from exhaustion and disease, with nearly 80% of the unit incapacitated by July. Despite these difficulties, the Chinese X-Force and U.S. reinforcements launched repeated assaults against the Japanese defenses. Final assault and Japanese surrender, August 3, 1944. After 3 months of brutal fighting, the Japanese commander, Major General Genzo Mizukami, ordered a final stand. Most Japanese soldiers fought to the death, with few surrendering. On August 3, 1944, Myitkyina finally fell to the Allies, securing one of the most hard-fought victories of the Burma campaign. Aftermath and strategic impact. Heavy checkmark reopened the Burma Road, The fall of Myitkyina allowed Allied forces to push forward, eventually re-establishing land supply routes to China. Heavy checkmark air superiority over Burma. The captured airfield gave the Allies a critical staging point for bombing raids on Japanese positions in Burma and Thailand. Heavy checkmark severe Japanese losses. Over 3,000 Japanese troops were killed, and their northern Burmese supply lines were crippled. Heavy checkmark victory at a heavy cost. The Allies suffered 2,200 casualties, with disease and exhaustion claiming as many lives as combat. The battle also cemented tensions between General Stilwell and Chiang Kai-shek, as Chinese troops had refused to fight at times, forcing American forces to take on more combat duties than expected. The drive for Myitkyina was a pivotal victory in the CBI theater, marking the beginning of the end for Japanese control of Burma. Though often overshadowed by the larger campaigns in the Pacific, this battle helped turn the tide in Southeast Asia and re-established critical supply lines to China. With Myitkyina secure, the Allies prepared for the final push into Burma, leading to the eventual recapture of Mandalay and Rangoon in 1945. Would you like additional details on maps, personal accounts, or specific unit actions during the campaign?